Hello, lovelies. Happy Fairy Friday. Today is the first Friday in 2020, and so I have something special planned. I'm going to do a 4-pile pick-a-card reading with 4 different decks. So we'll have the Druidcraft Tarot deck, we'll have the Fairy Ring Oracle deck, we'll have the Black Moon Astrology deck, and the Gentle Wisdom from the Fairy Realms. So we'll have that along with our usual charms. So it's a very exciting Fairy Friday, but it's also exciting because this whole reading is for the year 2020. And so there's 12 cards to each pile, and sometimes the order of the cards can correlate with the month on which it falls. So we'll see how that works out. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, do all those fun YouTube things. And without further ado, let's get into it. All right, lovely. So I've got my incense going. This is Sandalwood Incense by Charlotte's Mystical Web. It's got a nice earthy scent to it, and it's very cleansing and very soothing, very relaxing. This is group 1, group 2, group 3, and group 4. I want you to take a moment, clear your mind, and pick whichever pile you are most drawn to. If it helps, I'll explain these charms that are associated with each pile. So for group 1, this is a dove presenting an olive branch. So to me, doves, and especially if they're carrying an olive branch, to me they represent peace. So maybe there's something that that you're making peace with. But that's peace and tranquility is what I associate with that one. For group 2, we have an owl. And owls represent wisdom and knowledge. So if that resonates with you, group 2 might be the pile for you. Pile 3, or group 3. This is a heart, but it looks like it's got some filigree or something in the middle there. Maybe some lace, maybe some intricate networking, but that's definitely dealing with matters of the heart. And then for group 4, we've got a flower. It looks like a daisy, but it looks like one petal is missing. So maybe, maybe you feel like you're almost complete. Maybe something's missing. Maybe that resonates with you. So anyway, take a moment, think about it, and pick whichever deck resonates with you. And I'll put timestamps in the comments so that you can go straight to whichever deck that you're most drawn to. So without further ado, we'll get into this. All right, so group 1, you had the dove charm. It's a dove with the olive branch. And to me, this represents peace and tranquility. Maybe you're making peace with something. You could be making peace with a loved one. You could be making peace with the past. You may be making peace with some situation that needed to be resolved, and now it's being resolved. So let's see what these cards say. Now I'm using 4 different decks. Some of these I haven't used on this channel before, so let's see what these cards say. So you've got the Ace of Wands, you've got the 6 of Swords, Justice, Imbolc. Imbolc is also known as Groundhog Day. I'll get into that in a minute. You have Queen Una, who's a fairy queen. You've got Morgan Le Fay. And these come from the Fairy Ring Oracle deck. And then we've got the Black Moon Astrology deck. You've got the North Node, which correlates to life's purpose. You've got Uranus. Some people call it Uranus. Some people call it Uranus. And it relates to genius. And then you've got the 4th house, which relates to roots. I think I might be running out of room, so let's scoot these up a little bit. You got integrity, dream, and changes. So, what does all this mean? Well, let's see. You've got the Ace of Wands, and that usually represents new beginnings, especially in spirituality. It could mean you're having spiritual awakenings. You're learning what resonates with you spiritually. You may be starting on a new spiritual path, but that's usually what the Ace of Wands represents. You've also got 6 of Swords, which means you are, since it's reversed, you may have some reluctancy, but it's about moving away from a situation and toward a better situation. Swords can tend to be a little bit harsh, so it may be a harsh situation you're leaving. Be careful, because it might be like a out of the frying pan into the fire kind of situation. But you're not alone. No matter what you do, where you go, you're not alone. You do have supports with you, and you do have someone guiding you. But you may be, like I said, leaving a situation that's not healthy for you, and headed towards something more positive. But this is not an easy thing for you. This is hard. It's hard to break ties with things that no longer serve you, especially if you've got some history with that person or that situation. Then you've got Justice. So with the Justice card, it's about things coming back into balance. You may have some legal issues. It could be a divorce. It could be a child custody thing. It could be legally holding someone accountable for something they've done. But whatever it is, it's going to be dealt with fairly. Karma comes into play here quite strongly. And so, but it goes for everybody involved. So you and or the person involved are going to have justice. You're going to be held accountable for any part that you might have had in the situation. But chances are the final ruling, like if it were a court case, the final ruling will go in your favor. So that's a good one to have. So this card comes from the Fairy Ring, and this is Imbolc. This is one of the most beautiful cards in the deck. I love it. And so Imbolc is a fairy festival, and it's about new beginnings and rebirth and growth. It's like that very first. Now, granted, this usually falls around February 2nd, so it's around Groundhog Day. But it's is like the first little, pokes of green grass after it snows. The first little bitty signs of spring coming about. So you may be testing something new, testing the waters, make sure, you're on even footing. It may be a time where you might be starting over. You might be starting a new project, a new life in a way. There's so many different things it could relate to, but it's basically getting a fresh start. With this one, Queen Una, I'm not super familiar with this one, so I'm going to refer to the book for a little bit more insight on this one. It's been a while since I've read with the fairy ring. But let's see what Queen Una says. It says, when Queen Una appears in the cards, she indicates the development of practical skills, finding solutions to practical problems, help, good advice, and friendship. The card may betoken a real woman in the life of the questioner, a woman who is clever and shrewd, practical and helpful with a great deal of common sense. So this could be you, or this could be someone in your life that you're dealing with. But this is someone who's very practical. She's very clever. She's helpful. She's got common sense. She may not know all the ins and outs of whatever technical thing you got going on, but she gives good advice, and she's very helpful and supportive. And she has practical skills. Like she can cook and clean and sew and make things and things like that, but she may not be like a computer genius, or she may not necessarily have a specialty, but she knows how to do a little bit of everything. So that's a good person to have in your corner. That might be you. That might be someone, close to you. It might be your mom, your sister, your cousin, best friend, wife. It could be, it could be anybody, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a person. It could just be, that you're developing practical skills. You're finding solutions to your problems, getting unstuck, so to speak. Then we've got Morgan Le Fay. Morgan Le Fay is kind of like the Lady of the Lake. She's got this sword, right? We've got lots of swords involved here, don't we? So let's see what Morgan Le Fay says. Morgan Le Fay is the mistress of occult knowledge. She indicates wisdom and power gained from study and experience combined. Depending on the surrounding cards, she may indicate aspiration and ambition, but also cunning and ruthlessness. She may represent a real woman in your life, an independent woman who covets success, who is passionate, sensual, and fond of possessions and pleasure, but also capable of being manipulative and controlling. I could be wrong, but I get the feeling that if this refers to a person, it's the same person, just different aspects of the same person. If this is you, you're not only gaining these practical skills, but you're using your wisdom and knowledge gained from that experience to handle whatever comes at you. So not only do you have practical skills, but you also have the wisdom and knowledge to apply these skills. But you got to be careful about being controlling of other people, because yes, you can control yourself, but you got to be careful about manipulating people, because it can come back to bite you. And karmically, it's not a great idea to manipulate other people. Yes, you might get what you want out of the situation at the time, but you're going to have to pay for it. So just be careful about that. Okay, so I am learning still. I'm still learning this Black Moon astrology deck. So I hope you don't mind me reading what the meanings are, and I can give you my insight on what or how I think it should be applied. So we've got the North Node, life's purpose. So let's see what the North Node and life's purpose mean. It says the North Node points out the best areas for us to direct our talents and our wills. The North Node shows the area of gifts. It represents destiny. It is directly opposed to the South Node, which is much more serious and restrictive. The North Node represents where we benefit from good work done in past lives and how that assists us in the here and now. The North Node is the place in the chart where life becomes easier. It acts like a karmic Jupiter, where the doorway opens and suddenly you are where you need to be. When the North Node card opens itself in a reading, you can be assured destiny has a place in your situation. Through many life lessons, you're about to arrive at a place for your highest good. Your life is expanding and opportunities pour in swiftly, catching you quite by surprise. This card also represents past life memories and karmic connections. You may meet people whom you have known over many past lives, perhaps in a soul family where bonds form very quickly. You are taking on a larger view of your life, which not only emphasizes your talents, but aligns your talents with like-minded souls. It's a fortuitous time to begin a privately owned business or other professional venture that will bring in extra finances. Whatever this venture may be, fun, creativity, and optimism will be part of it. At this time, you will feel less limited and your goals and plans will have far-reaching potential. Keep in mind, the lunar nodes always bring shifts and changes. For instance, a relationship with someone who has destiny spelled all over him or her may suddenly walk into your life. If so, this relationship will start rapidly and be life-altering. One job may end swiftly and you will find yourself in a much more suitable position. If the energy is used correctly, it will promote greater optimism and prosperity. This means finances are also likely to increase. This energy is now telling you that the schooling part is over for now. Lessons have been learned, and you are now to act on these lessons toward a greater destiny. At this time, it is evident where you need to be, where you need to go, and where you need to be. As the soul's messenger, the appearance of the North Node card in a spread indicates growing into what is called the larger unknown, meaning you are moving toward a point that promises greater fulfillment. The nodes are karmic, therefore the lessons are not easy ones. Matters will develop suddenly, but there is still work to be done. Luck is on your side with an opening toward greater things. Karmic lessons learned and processed being fulfillment and happiness. So this has to do with your life's purpose. This has to do with karma. Remember, I said the Justice card here is about karma. So this is reiterating the whole karma thing. But also it's optimistic. So yeah, North Node, life's purpose. Things are falling into place for you, basically. And it's like, yes, things might fall apart a little bit, but it's so something better can fall together. So it's important to keep that in mind. All right, let's see what Uranus has to say. Uranus the genius. The public is wonderfully tolerant. It forgives everything except genius. That's by Oscar Wilde. The sudden bolt of a surprise that causes chaos. Uranus, the great awakener, is here to wake you up. According to myth, out of chaos emerged two expressions of deities, Gaia, Mother Earth, and Uranus, Father Sky. As the higher octave of Mercury, Uranus arrives to break the rules and smash established structures. It is the planet of not only genius, but also intuition, which arrives in sudden flashes just like lightning, seemingly out of nowhere. Uranus is the revolutionary planet, opening up channels to the higher mind and bringing about necessary changes which can no longer be resisted. The great humanitarian, Uranus is not really personal, and its viewpoint is one that is detached and unemotional. It symbolizes the one who doesn't really need a partner, but is friend and soulmate to everyone. Those under the influence of Uranus are objective just enough to derive reliable insight into other people's motivations. These types tend to be brainy and cool. Such detachment is needed when everything is about to be turned upside down. Another very important element of Uranus is its link to technological advances and how the future is going to look and be. When the Uranus card comes up in a reading, there will be jolts and surprises in regards to your question or focus. After all, Uranus is the upstart planet, so there won't be any smooth ride here. You can anticipate matters to turn rather eccentric, if not shocking, and not in the way you expected. Don't look upon these manifestations as wrong for you. Instead, go with it and see how your life becomes transformed in ways not exactly as you predicted, but better. You may feel excitable or nervous at present, especially when it comes to the things you are currently focusing on. It may seem as if everything is speeded up, even forced against your will, but it is not a good idea to resist. The best approach is to entertain the possibilities of what you are about to learn. You can anticipate this change to be a liberating force, offering a new course or path. Since Uranus is the planet of technology, you may find yourself having to master a new tool, a machine, a computer, or even jobs involving the internet. Since Uranus is the planet of air, storms and lightning, anything having to do with flight, messages carried via the air, and electrical energies will be part of it. Phones, television sets, computers, artificial intelligence, and bionics may also figure. Your surroundings may start exhibiting electrical malfunctions. It is important to pay close attention to the wiring in your home or office. It is also important to point out the connection between Uranus and alternative forms of sexuality and gender identity. In fact, in Victorian England, homosexual and transgender people were referred to as Uranians or Uranians. Therefore, you might find yourself among people with alternative viewpoints, sexuality, and sometimes people of a different class or background. All in all, this card means your life is about to be changed in big ways rather than small ones. The Uranus card says, go with it and see what happens. See, I tend to take that philosophy anyway. Go with it and see what happens. Because things are picking up speed. They're happening more quickly than you expected, and you may find yourself in a situation that you never thought you would find yourself in, but it's okay. You're able to roll with it. And here, where you've got all these practical skills and everything, you may be learning new skills having to do with technology and things like that. And so there's going to be a bit of a learning curve there. So get ready, learn all you can, and apply it as needed. Like with everything, take what applies to you, take what resonates, and throw the rest out the door. So let's see, we've got 4th house, roots. I have a feeling that has to do with family. What do you think? 4th house, roots. Your question may somehow be rooted in the past. The 4th house is ruled by the moon and governs the feelings, all the ways your touchy and emotional dreams and our soul yearnings. It signifies the home, family, in the earliest phase of childhood, even to the time shortly before birth when we are still in the womb. It is the babe within the womb. It is the cover that protects us from the world. The house represents nurturing, giving nourishment and safety. It symbolizes mothering and motherhood, and also the father who is able to mother and nurture his offspring. The fourth house shows the beginning of the family and holds the memories of our ancestors. It represents the putting down of roots and the foundation to everything in our lives, our heritage and tribal affiliations. In the 4th house, the self is centered and grounded, but also likes to hide away. As well as caretaking, it also represents hidden treasures and a place to retreat. There is both gentleness and emotional rawness in the 4th house. When this card shows up in a reading, home and family issues may have something to do with your query. And as it represents your current environment, family members and where you live, real estate and land might also figure into it as putting down roots or buying or selling a home. This card can be the predictor of a birth or new members in the family, a pregnancy, and can sometimes mean care for the elderly, including nursing homes and hospital stays. This card can also indicate the presence of angels and being directed by heavenly means. Events or appearances of persons from your faraway childhood may suddenly be relevant again. You may reconnect with someone and pick up again just where you started, even if it has been years since you've seen your friend. Memories of past lives may surface, transforming areas of your present life. Depending on the surrounding cards, the results may be uplifting and perfect or shattering to the core. These memories will change you and the way you view your life. Again, look for reunions and reconnections with persons from your past, such as grammar school days or even relatives you don't know very well or had long forgotten. You may dig up some fascinating news about your family or ancestry. Inheritances may figure in where you receive something that has been passed down to you. However, the home is the primary meaning behind this card. So buying or selling a house, adding onto a house, selling real estate, and managing properties, as well as creating a secure home base, all relate to your question. As the fourth house is also the house of dreams, imagining and relying on magic could feature. After all, the fourth house is lorded over by Lady Moon, mistress of magic and the unseen world. It is now time to use your imagination and make things happen. What you think now is what will be. As long as you don't worry and fixate, your magical intentions will grow organically, just like a silvery plant under the sacred moon. And finally, whatever is being asked about may occur around the time of the full moon. So this has to do with who you are in secret. It has to do with your family. It has to do with perhaps your parents, your ancestry. It also has to do with your emotions, finding safety in the familiar. It could be family secrets you're dealing with. But you're definitely putting down roots. You might be looking at buying a new house. You might be looking at some sort of inheritance. But this has to do with home and family more than anything. And so, going back up here, this could have to do with home and family as well. I'm getting a strong sense of that. So, so that may be something you want to pay attention to in the next little bit, and what you're hoping for could come about around the time of the full moon. So just be aware of that. This is for the whole year of 2020. So, you may, I feel like this part is going to happen, like if it's like a custody battle or something like that, I feel like it's going to come to an end around September. So I could be wrong, but that's just kind of the feeling I get. So definitely pay attention to your family and your supports, okay? So let's look at the gentle wisdom of the fairy realms. So we've got integrity. Remember when I said you're going to be held accountable for everything you think, say, and do? That's where integrity comes into place. So let's see what integrity says. Integrity is a commitment to your truth. With integrity comes deep roots which support you in times of darkness until you find your light. Integrity is the basis for self-respect and respect from others. So, it's a commitment to what you know is right. It's like, if you're lucky, you were taught right from wrong growing up, and so when you leave out of your family's home and you go out on your own, it's important to stand by what's right. Do what you know to be right. Because this comes from, it says with integrity comes deep roots which support you in times of darkness until you find your light. If you stick with what you know is right, and you're treating people well, that you're taking care of yourself, and you're acting in an honest and honorable manner, you're gonna end up where you need to be. So let's see what dreams say. It says, dream, imagine, find your heart's delight, and then choose a dream to make into a goal. Dreams with energy and form behind them become goals. Do you have a dream that excites you? Make it real. So not only are we dealing with integrity here and doing what we know to be right, but we're also setting goals. And I think that's something that everybody does at the beginning of the year, is set goals, set your resolutions. Find something that you just really want to make happen. Put your energy behind it, and it will manifest. You got to, visualize it. If you've got to do a vision board or something like that, affirmations, all these things help put these things into place. Sometimes if you put it out there to the universe and don't worry about the how, it finds a way to make it work. But what is your dream? What are you manifesting this year? That's something important to think about. And then we got changes. What do the fairies say about changes? Sometimes we wait until circumstances get so uncomfortable that we are forced to make the changes we know we need to make. Is that not what I said up here? Where it's not always easy, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do, get away from a situation that's no longer serving you and go towards something better. That's that. And that has to do with changes. When you know it is time to change something in your environment or within you, do it. So if it's something outside of you and you can change it, change it if you know if it's time to change. If there's something within yourself you need to change, you know what you need to work on. It goes back to that New Year's resolution. What is it you're dreaming? What is it that you're wanting to do? So I think overall it's a good reading for you, Group 1. But I'm really strongly feeling this integrity piece, this connection with family. Try not to be so controlling. Let things happen. Let things unfold. Because that's going to be your best course of action. You may find yourself in a whole bunch of drama up here, and it may cause you to have a spiritual awakening. Those things don't always happen in the greatest of circumstances, but sometimes that's what you need to get you to wake up. Focus on your practical skills. Focus on what it is that you're supposed to be learning and gaining from this experience. Observe. If you can kind of take a step back and observe the situation and not get your feelings all in it, it will actually help guide you through to the next phase, to the next thing. So overall, I think it's a pretty good reading. You've got some challenges ahead of you, Group 1. I'm not gonna lie, you got some challenges ahead of you. But I think you can get through it. I really do. I think if you focus on what you know is right and focus on what it is that you're wanting, I think it'll come together for you. That's the feeling I have. But you know what changes you need to make, and so I think I would start there. After gratitude, that's when you start with, okay, what can I do better? What can I change to make the situation better? But yeah, I think you're off to a great start. Happy New Year. All right, Group 2. Let's see, you have the owl charm. And so the owl, to me, represents wisdom and knowledge. So some of you may be starting a new learning experience. You might be going back to school. You might just be having some experiences you've never had before and you're having to learn from them. Let's see, we've got 7 of Cups, 4 of Wands, the Lady, also known as the Empress. You've got the Fairy Festival of Beltane. You've got the Blue Hag. You've got Pixie. You've got the first house, the body. You've got Capricorn. Capricorn says, I use. Got Sagittarius, says, I see. You got challenge, charm, and kindness. So, let's see. You got your owl for wisdom and knowledge. Goodness. Okay, so you've got the owl for wisdom and knowledge. Here you've got your Seven of Cups. And so with the Seven of Cups, you're dealing with an illusion. You're not seeing things as they actually are. You're seeing things as you'd like them to be. And so there's kind of like a fine line between affirmations and trying to manifest things and truly not seeing the whole picture and not getting that maybe you don't have the funds that you need to buy the things that you want right now. And that gets kind of tricky when you get into law of attraction stuff, but I'll get into that later. Or maybe you're wanting to feel a certain way and you're denying the feelings that you currently have. Or maybe you feel like you should feel a certain way even though you don't. It's almost like if you're dealing with a death and you feel like you should feel sad and grieving, but you really feel kind of numb because it really hasn't hit yet. Or maybe you're in a relationship and you feel like you should be passionately in love with this person and you're just not. And it's kind of forced. Those are some of the impressions I'm getting here. So that resonates with you. You might want to look at that and explore those feelings. Okay. The Number of Wands has to do with your home, stability, security. Fours tend to have to do with that stability feature. Things are stable, things are solid. Things are good at home, and that may be why you're having these conflicting feelings. It's like, this person takes care of me, provides for me, they're a good parent, they're a good ABCD, whatever it is, but the chemistry may not be there. Or it's like you just don't feel what you feel like you should be feeling. And so that can be a bit conflicting there. It's like, yeah, I should be in love with this person. They provide for me and my family. They take care of the kids. They do everything they're supposed to do as their role in the household. But it's just kind of stale there. And so you may want to look into what that's really about. And then you've got the Lady. And so you may be feeling a bit of a lack of abundance. Maybe feeling a bit cheated as far as I was expecting to get this one thing and I didn't. I went through the drive-thru at Taco Bell and I told them exactly what I wanted and I didn't get everything I asked for. Stuff like that, except apply that to life. You may be dealing with an unwanted pregnancy. So be careful if you're not wanting a pregnancy. What precautions you need to be taking. And that could be making this a little bit difficult too, is like, well, you may be dealing with a pregnancy that you're not really happy about. Or it may be the opposite. You may be wanting to become pregnant. You may be dealing with infertility issues. There's different ways that could go. But ultimately you're feeling a lack of abundance here, in some regard. Let's see, Beltane. It's interesting that Beltane is the fourth card, and Beltane usually happens April 30th or May 1st, however way you want to look at it. But Beltane is an old festival about it's a fertility festival. It's about drawing in this abundance and drawing in the blessings of the universe. Whether that be prosperity, whether that be trying to conceive, if that's what you're wanting. It's a particularly magical time because there's lots of loving feelings, there's lots of marriages, things like that. It's a very strong, powerful festival there. Let's see. Then you've got the Blue Hag. Now, the Blue Hag has different meanings depending on the situation. This could be an older lady in your life. It could be someone who is very bitter about, they could be bitter about past romances. They could be bitter about, they just don't like seeing other people happy for some reason because they're not happy within themselves. They've been hurt and they're trying to take it out on other people is kind of the feeling I'm getting on this one. So be careful about this person because they may be trying to sabotage something for you. And then you've got Pixie. But I feel like I need to tell you a little bit more about the Hag before I go into the Pixie. So, let's see. And she's reversed. It says, the Blue Hag reversed indicates that past hurts are still deeply affecting the questioner. He or she will not be able to move on until these have been resolved. The reverse card may indicate a real person in your life, a mature or elderly woman with a sharp tongue who criticizes your best efforts and is never satisfied. Is that not what I just said? Okay. And then we've got Pixie. Pixie is also reversed. And says, you are shirking some task or responsibility. At the moment, you don't care about hurting others as long as you get what you want. This attitude will have consequences for you at a later date. So basically, you're not wanting to take responsibility for something. This could be you. You could be this, this grouchy old lady, for lack of a better term, that is just stuck in the past and not ready to move past those hurt feelings and everything, and you're not wanting to take responsibility for moving forward. So be careful about that because, you can manipulate people all you want to and do what you do, but it's going to come back to bite you. You're going to eventually have to take responsibility for yourself. So just be careful about that. I'm not sure how this ties into this whole scenario up here, but for some of you it may make sense. Let's see. We've got the first house, which is the body. Again, I'm still learning these Black Moon astrology cards, so bear with me. All right, so the first house is the body. It says, move ahead with confidence. You are rising. The first house in astrology begins with the ascendant, the astrological constellation rising over the eastern horizon at the time the chart is cast. In the natal chart, the ascendant represents the moment you were born. Okay, so a little background on that. So whatever time of year you were born. Like, for example, I was born April 4th. So I am an Aries by my sun sign. But depending on the time of your birth and where the astrological constellation is rising on the eastern horizon at the time of your birth, that also is your what they call a rising sign or the ascendant. So at the time of my birth, I was born at 1:11 in the afternoon. So at the time of my birth, Leo was in the eastern horizon. So my rising sign is Leo. So that means I tend to act a little bit more like a Leo than an Aries sometimes. So, and that tends to be like your outward personality is your rising sign. So a little background there. Like the sun and moon, the first house is one of the most important parts of a horoscope. The first house represents your physical appearance, how your body works, and where your strengths and weaknesses lie. It is the beginning to everything. The first house is also the mask that everyone else first sees. Although the first house is the house of self, it is also the persona you project. It is how you relate to the world first. If the first house card presents itself in a reading, it means you will soon be feeling your own strength. Although it may feel natural just to take over and assert your power, you may need to pull back some. Try not to control or dominate certain situations, as this could backfire. More positively, people may feel comfortable now with you as their leader, and they won't mind following your lead. It's important that you don't abandon your goals now out of boredom. Presently, you will start things with great gusto, but you must follow up. You need to finish all that you start. Again, going back to that taking responsibility. The first house shows your image. So how you come across to others is of utmost importance now and bears greatly on your success. Perhaps you may opt for a new look, and indeed this can have a bearing on how successful you will be. Since this house opposes the seventh house of partnerships, it is a good omen regarding relationships of all kinds. It can mean relationships are about to mature or become more serious. Marriage may be on the cards, or it may mean you're transitioning into a better place concerning other people in general. Did I not say this was a marriage card? As the first house is also about your physical body, it's important to pay attention to your health and the signs your body is sending you. Your body is your ultimate container, the first place your soul passes into. The first house also speaks of beginnings and starting anew. It implies it is time to honor your gift of being distinct. It also suggests a position of leadership. When this card turns up in a reading, it may be time to defend something of value to you, perhaps your reputation, your authentic self, or your chosen life path. You may be challenged where you must stand by your convictions. You could have conflicts with certain authority figures and thus need to go some extra measures to keep a cool head in any given situation. This card marks a period of being tested or challenged and indicates who you are and who you will become. Whatever is implied in the surrounding cards will indicate what must soon be faced and met. All in all, the first thing to consider with this card is how healthy you are and your stamina, then your role as a leader or just you as a person who is about to start something significant. Always look at surrounding cards to determine what comes next, quite directly and unexpectedly. So, this has to do with how you come across to other people and how you appear to other people. And that's going to be really important. And it could also have to do, like I said, with marriage. You may be staying in this type of situation where you've got a stable household and everything, but you're not acknowledging how things really are. And that ties back into acknowledging your true self. And so you may be going through some changes probably around summertime, or around July-ish. So be aware of that. And then we've got Capricorn. I use is what it says. It is time to focus on your objectives and not let up. Now, that's typical Capricorn behavior. Ruled by Saturn, the planet of hard luck, the sign of Capricorn is personified by the goat that climbs the steepest cliffs to gain worldly success. Capricorn is a resourceful sign, and those under its influence long for power and prestige. There is no one more ambitious than a Capricorn. They really do want to take the world by the horns. There are more spiritual goats, of course, but the aim of most Capricorns is fundamentally practical in nature. With them, there are no careless wanderings into fairyland. Well, tough, because you got fairies wandering into your land, Capricorn. This mountain goat looks for a physical niche, and through some glorious contact by which they can achieve their aim is to come up in the world, and no matter what it takes. This is the reason behind the motto for Capricorn saying, I use. Since Saturn is their god, Capricorns are interested in what's solid, what can be seen, touched, or bought. Capricorns utilize their energies towards some concrete purpose rather than daydreams and imagination. See, you're getting caught up in daydreams and imagination here. And it's going to come about that this Capricorn energy is going to be cutting through all this shenanigans and seeing how things really are and the most practical way to deal with it. When Capricorns do indulge in dreams, they always dream big. They are insanely ambitious and often good looking. Capricorns appear mature early in life and then grow younger and younger looking with each passing year. When the Capricorn card turns up in a reading, it denotes a time of diligence and hard work. There is a gaining in status and reputation. Whatever you've toiled over and especially sacrificed for, you're ready for splendid results to be revealed. Keep in mind this gain may be slow and systematic, but you are heading towards something solid and lasting. You're about to meet all the right people who will back you and your goals. Some may be greater in status than you, but they will show you the ropes or support you in some substantial way. By all means, do not lose them. Capricorn is a sign of drive and ambition. Therefore, you may feel more driven than usual. In essence, this card is saying to put childish things away and take responsibility. Take responsibility. How many times do I have to say that in this reading? Oh my goodness. Go for what you want in a systematic way. Beware of looking back and staying in the shadows. It's time to unleash your talents upon the world. Do not let up. Go out on a limb. If your question is to do with romance or relationships, then these may take on more serious tones. I.e., if you're in this, I don't know about this type of feeling about this relationship, and then there's a pregnancy involved that you weren't quite prepared for, that's going to change your feelings, and then there may be a marriage involved, and then you've got your mother-in-law, and then you've got, well, I don't know if I really want to do like this, but you're going to have to, because you got to take care of your health, you got to take care of your family, you got to take care of you. And you may have some goals in life that, you got to take care of. So you got to dream big and push hard. That's Capricorn for you. Matters should grow deeper and more committed. It could be that one partner is older, higher in social rank, or will be a guide or teacher to the other. It may also mean one is more serious than the other. That's usually the case. One person in a relationship is usually more serious than the other, and one's a lot more playful. It just kind of depends on the dynamic. Since Capricorn is a methodical earth sign, your outcome may progress gradually, unfolding at its own pace. You won't be able to rush matters. Everything must happen in its own time, not yours. Career and your profession are also important, and you can expect to see changes there too. This card can indicate skeletal problems such as broken or porous bones, spinal issues, strains, or even dental issues. Make sure you are getting enough calcium and vitamin D. Capricorn is the sign of time, maturity, and age. So if you develop an illness, it will be one that has been coming on for a long time. Again, take care of your body. You should be awaiting an outcome or judgment, so look to the surrounding cards to determine whether it will be a good one. You may also be waiting for the answer or resolution to something long overdue. With the Capricorn card, you can be assured the answer will be just and fair, especially if you have worked hard and kept your nose to the grindstone. With this card in a spread, you will not be defeated. Well, that's good. Keep on keeping on, right? And then Sagittarius. says, I see. You're just about ready to hit your mark. The sign of Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter and is mutable, easygoing fire sign. The ancient symbol for Sagittarius is a half-man, half-horse known as the centaur, a creature trained in the art of archery who also manages to hit his target no matter how far he roams. Sagittarians are honest, candid, and not afraid to speak the truth. Since this freedom-loving fire sign is not offended by the truth, he is often surprised when others take offense to his words. You know, a lot of Sagittarians I've met tend to be lovable jerks. No offense, but it's true. It's like they may not present the truth in the kindest way, but they still present the truth. So that's admirable. Sagittarians are drawn to religious ideas, even though sometimes they deny it. They will go through periods of not being religious at all and claim not to believe in anything, even bucking against authority. Religion and philosophy are concepts they remain fascinated by, though. They will argue for hours about religion, and usually at some point in life they return to some type of faith, but such a faith always remains an intellectual pursuit. Sagittarians are highly idealistic, creative, outdoorsy, and have a great sense of play and fun. They're also extremely restless and would prefer not to stay in the same spot. Instead, they would rather roam. Sagittarians dislike routine, so are encumbered by the usual 9-to-5 job. They may end up as magicians, fire eaters, tattoo artists, entertainers, publishers, literary agents, clergy, tutors, bookstore owners, and whatever does not require any set schedule. Talk about a free spirit, right? Sagittarians tend to be rather lucky, but have a habit of not handling money well and will sometimes squander any wealth that comes to them. They are confident, which makes them highly attractive and popular, drawing to them what they need. Sagittarians also have integrity and will not go along with anything unfair or underhand. Wicca, paganism, and Catholic Church are all ruled by Sagittarius. When you think about it, these religions, with their pomp and ceremony, candles and incense, have much in common. Though not as showy as their fellow fire sign Leo, Sagittarians tend to largesse by their nature and prefer what they do to be memorable. The archer sign does not want an ordinary life. When the Sagittarius card turns up in a reading, freedom at the current time is essential. You will feel the need to fight against restrictions of any kind and want everything out in the open. You want to know where you stand. If your question pertains to a relationship, you or your partner need to be given extra space and looser reins. You may find yourself especially philosophical at the current time and even studying religions which may not have appealed to you before. Interestingly, Sagittarius is the sign representing large animals, especially horses and big dogs. You may soon be acquiring a new pet, or it may be the animals are already a big part of your life. Like these beautiful beasts, you love that sense of wildness and being in the open air. You may soon travel to areas with vast countrysides or regions with mountains and lakes that you want to explore. You might embrace a new philosophy, enroll in classes of higher learning, or begin to study churches or religions. A visit to a casino or another area where gambling takes place could likely come about. You will likely be fortunate and win in this venture as long as you don't proceed recklessly. It's a good time to take a gamble. But take responsibility. Your future looks promising because you're ready to expand and grow beyond your limits. If you do encounter difficulties, you'll surmount them easily and move forward to your next lucky break in life, which should be coming soon. All right. So then we see what the challenge is, according to the fairies. It says, step carefully and lightly around the thorns. Move forward being aware that you are surrounded by great beauty and that the thorns are actually quite small. Remember, where there is challenge, there is opportunity. So, where there is challenge, there is opportunity. It's kind of like a risk versus benefits kind of thing. It's like the greater the risk, the greater the potential payout. So you've got to be methodical, and you've got to be about, pay attention to the challenges that come to you, because it says move forward being aware that you're surrounded by great beauty, and that the thorns are actually quite small. So you are surrounded by beauty. You are surrounded by positive, good things. And yeah, you do have challenges. You do have these thorns. You have these little annoyances, but they're small. So usually if they're small, they're easier to deal with. But you sometimes got to deal with one thing at a time and try not to get overwhelmed. All right. What does it say about charm? Express your charisma and personality. Authentically and sincerely express who you are. Have fun, be playful and charming. Be as fully alive as you can be, and you'll even charm the flowers. So Sagittarius was talking about being playful, right? And this, this playfulness is what is going to be charming to other people. And being your genuine self. You don't have to put on a mask. You don't have to be anybody but who you are. And that genuineness is what, is attracting the people that you want to attract, and the vibrations and the positive things that you want to attract. And seeing challenges as small compared to the big picture, that also adds to your charm as well. And then finally, kindness. That's one of my favorite cards in that deck. It's kindness. It says, when your heart is touched by another and you show kindness and compassion, your heart becomes deeper and stronger. Learn to expand your heart's capacity while keeping it safe and healthy. Use your actions, words, and thoughts to make life kinder for others, and life will become kinder to you. So, of course, practicing kindness, and what goes around comes around. But make sure everything that you do is honorable and kind, because what goes around comes around. And also it helps deepen your capacity to love. It deepens your capacity for these emotions. Something you might not be feeling right now in January, you may develop these feelings over this coming year. So it's something to think about. All right. Thank you, Group 2. I hope you have an excellent new year. I'll see you next time. Right. We have Group 3. So with Group 3, we've got the heart charm. We're dealing with matters of the heart. And it looks pretty intricate. It looks like you've got a lot going on in your heart. Got a lot of feelings in there. So let's see what this reading says. We've got 8 of Pentacles. We've got Queen of Pentacles. We've got the Hanged Man. We've got the Leprechaun. We've got the Mermaid. We've got Triamore. We've got the Sun and Spirit. We've got Air Element and Communicating. We got Aquarius, which says, I know. We have Enthusiasm, Joy, and Appreciation. So, Group 3. You're learning a new skill. You might be going back to school. You might be learning a new trade. You might be learning how to make biscuits. I don't know what you're learning, but you're learning something new. And you're perfecting that skill. You're perfecting that art, whatever it is. You're getting stronger and better all the time the more you do it. So yeah, you're perfecting your craft here. It's an excellent thing. You've got the Queen of Pentacles. This is Earth Mother energy right here. This is straight up Earth Mother. So lots of groundedness, lots of money-mindedness, making sure that the house is taken care of, the bills are paid, the children are fed, all that good mama stuff. You've got that going on in addition to, learning this new skill. It might be on the job training. It might be actually going to college. It might be, but you got some kind of work-oriented thing going on here. And then you've got the Hanged Man. And the thing about the Hanged Man is it looks terrible. Somebody is hanging by their feet with their eyes, with their hands tied behind their back, and they're gagged and bound, okay? And so basically with this person, they're not in a great situation. Nobody wants to be in that situation. It's not cool. But look at his face. He's so whatever, so not bothered by the whole thing. So I wish I could have that level of unbotheredness. But that's part of it. It's like, yeah, you're not in, a situation where you necessarily want to be, but you're making the best of it, is the feeling I'm getting. Okay. Then you've got the Leprechaun. Again, it's been a minute since I've read from the fairy ring, so let's see what Leprechaun has to tell us. And he's reversed. If a leprechaun appears reversed in your spread today, prepare to seize unexpected opportunities. These could involve a career change, a chance to travel, or interesting new friendships. Success comes with learning new skills. Going back to learning new skills. All right. And then you've got the Mermaid. The Mermaid's one of my favorite cards. The mermaid is most at home in the water, the element that symbolizes emotions and feelings. When she appears upright in your spread, she heralds a time of great fulfillment and joy. This may be a time of creative inspiration when you create works of great truth and beauty. The mermaid may also be a harbinger of love, attraction, passion, and marriage. She emphasizes the importance of female sensuality. So she's most at home with her emotions and feelings. This is a time of great fulfillment and joy, seizing that opportunity. You may get more creative. You may, be decorating more. You might be learning how to bake and decorate cakes. You might be learning how to be an interior design artist. There's so many different directions you could go with this. But bless you, backseat. Backseat's having a sneezing fit next door. I've heard that man sneeze 27 times in one setting. Anyway, bless you, backseat. But she's also indicating love, attraction, passion, and possibly marriage. So that's a pretty good card to have at this point. And then you've got Triamore. When Triamore appears in your card, she implies a choice of some kind. In this case, you are deciding with your heart rather than your head. However, you should consider carefully as all options have far-reaching consequences. If the card is well aspected, surrounded by helpful cards, it can point to harmony and true love. If it is badly aspected, it shows that a relationship will be tested to the breaking point. Well, you've got this love, harmony, and passion right here. That sounds pretty good. And you've got new opportunities and learning new skills. So I'm thinking this is a pretty good card to have. I think he is pretty well aspected. So this points to harmony and true love. Okay. So then we've got the sun. Praise the sun. The sun represents spirit. The sun is at the center of our lives, just as it is traditionally in the astrological chart. This is why the placement of the sun is the most significant. The sun is our spirit, our personality. It represents, along with Uranus, the animating flash of life. The sun signifies who we essentially are. It is also the need to express who we are. In ancient belief, the sun is Amun-Ra, the god among all gods, whose name leads to Amen, the word at the end of a prayer. Actually, the word amen comes from a Latin word meaning I agree. I used to go to a school with a lot of Bible emphasis and a lot of Bible history emphasis, so that's how I know that. Sun rules over the condition of our bodies. It is the return to light, the ability to transform and rise again. The sun represents our health, vitality, and dynamism. The sun is our strength and what we put our focus on. It is no surprise that it was the sun early people venerated when developed into the idea of life-giving creator. The sun is also the universal spark called spirit that enlivens the body. It is our strength. The sun is the desire to bring on the outside what exists on the inside. It is life made manifest. The sun says more than any other planet, I wish to live. I want to thrive. When the sun card presents itself in a spread, it adds an encouraging spin to any reading. The sun is all that is good. It is the positivity that trumps anything negative. This card says, all eyes are on you. You have the strength and power to get things done. All things that are truly meaningful are starting to happen now. You are now in a place to lead and inspire. It is through the sun's inspiration and creativity that will enable you to make things materialize. This may be at the front of a group or on a stage or just in the way that you lead with confidence. The sun card gives an emphatic yes to your reading. Another meaning behind this card is that the summer months are relevant. Summer may be when the wished for event occurs. Interestingly enough, let's see, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, summer, at least in the northern hemisphere. The sun gives an emphatic yes to your reading. The summer months are relevant. Summer may be when the wished for event occurs. Parties, events which emphasize creativity and fun. Children and childlike adults all figure into the situation. This card also implies an aptitude for acting, or just a period where dramatic ability and creative leadership could greatly benefit your mission. You may find yourself singled out, perhaps in a dramatic situation where you show your skills in some impromptu ways, such as giving a speech or teaching a class. It is also a time of generosity and laughter. The spotlight shines on your life. What you are doing now is being noticed. If you're not used to this, you may act with aloofness. Avoid foolishness, immaturity, and any lack of organization during this time, or the matter could fall apart at the seams. But all in all, this is a progressive, energetic card which foretells of prodigious things on the horizon. This card indicates that matters will be going your way, but leadership on your part will be necessary. It is time to act and take your place in the sun. So all good things so far. Even though you've got your challenges up here and you're kind of just rolling with it, I mean, you've got a lot of great stuff going on for you. I'm really excited for you this year. This is awesome. Okay, you've got the air element, communicating. It says, think it over first. Put some mental effort into it before you put your talk into action. Be logical. Sort it out. The air element is about being objective and becoming mentally inspired. When we think of air, we think of clouds and sky and what connects us to the beyond. Air is all about lofty thinking, being broad-minded and expansive. Air sign people, Geminis, Libras, Aquarians, sometimes come off as a little cool and detached. They weigh everything, mull the situation over, decide what they think, and then process what they feel. Air also reminds us of flight, and flights of mind or what the air element rules over. Those governed by air signs are mentally inclined and tend to distance the emotions. Air can represent overthinking and distancing the heart and emotions with abstractions and mental puzzles. But this works well when things do need to be sorted out and clarified. Air also represents clear seeing in all its capacities, so can signify clairvoyant abilities as well as seeing things for what they truly are without emotions involved. When the air element presents itself in a reading, it is time to put into words what you want, what you desire, and what you expect. The good news is some issues you've been working on at the current time and possibly from the past are now being resolved. You are able to face them without pretense and, most importantly, with honesty. Air is all about being quick on your toes, how curious you are, and how ingenious. Air also gives us the power to apply our energies in diverse ways. It's all about being spontaneous in the moment and landing on your feet and where you're able to approach things with precision and sharpness. There's also freedom now to take a new path. Air signs look young, so this card is all about feeling young, looking at things anew, having energy, and being young. When your question is about relationships or romance, someone may not be willing to commit as much as the other at this time. It is possible that they are embarrassed or not as comfortable about sharing emotions as the other. So the air element card can mean there is a type of impasse in relationships. It can become a type of weighing of all the angles and odds and being unable to reach a decision. But this will only be a temporary matter. You can expect travel in the near future when this card comes up, and it should be a major trip, not a trip that might be routine. It will take planning, and air travel may be involved. Learning about new things will also feature either through cultural experiences or visiting educational places. Mountainous regions may also play a part. Sometimes this card simply means ambition and the need to soar as high as you can, which is now possible more than ever before. Ideally, this card indicates the powers of manifestation, the magic of mind and thought bringing ideas into being. What you think might be can happen, so guard how you think and be especially careful as to the words you choose. To spell a word, that is to say a word, is to cast a spell. The ancients knew that words held magic within them. So do thoughts. If nothing else, the air element card indicates that your mind and words have power. Use them well. So, this reading seems like it's more practical. Yes, you've got the loving feelings and you've got the good relationship here, and you've got some opportunities. Things are looking good. The sun's shining bright on you. You've got to communicate. If you do not communicate, it's going to present more challenges for you. You've got to be able to say what you mean and mean what you say. And sometimes you may not have connected very deeply with your emotions, so you may need to work on how to communicate those emotions so that you can connect with other people a little bit more deeply. And you've got Aquarius. Interesting, because Aquarius is an air element, or it's an air sign, as was mentioned before. So let's see what Aquarius says. Aquarius says, I know. Okay, so since you know, Aquarius, you need to communicate what you know, because not everybody knows what you know. It says, expect to be rested and shown waves of the future. Ruled by the planet of sudden insight, Uranus, but in earlier times Saturn, the planet of wisdom. Aquarians tend to have a natural aptitude for genius. Even those that are not geniuses are able to collect facts and knowledge far beyond the scope of those of other signs. Because of their vast intelligence, it doesn't take Aquarians long to see that they are superior in intellect to most people. This gives them a certain disdain over anything they view as common or ordinary. As seers into the future, Aquarians are ahead of the game and have accurate visions of the way things will be. This is why the sign of Aquarius rules science fiction and anything brand new. In reality, Aquarians see waves of the future in a way the rest of us cannot. Aquarians can be very stubborn in their views, even when those views appear off the wall to others. They will fight long and hard just to have the freedom to stay weird. That is so true. And they will fight for the rest of us to stay weird as well. Whatever is taboo or outlandish greatly appeals to them, if only in the imagination. So oftentimes they are artists, inventors, and speculative writers. As an air sign, meaning they are primarily mental and not emotional. They can be great humanitarians, but not very practical. And inside every Aquarian, no matter how attractive or glamorous, lives a geek. The type who wants to escape the mundane world and enter the realms of fantasy, cons, the graphic novel, appointment games, and role-playing. At the same time, they can be rational and tend not to get caught up in emotional dramas. Aquarians are more interested in friendships over romantic relationships. In fact, Aquarians are at first a friend before being a lover, unless, of course, you insult them by disagreeing with their far-fetched ideas, and then you're history. Aquarians are very attracted to people of other ethnicities and races, so if they do decide to couple with someone, it's generally a person who does not come from the same background, or sometimes even the opposite gender. Through all relationships, Aquarians will develop and grow, often as some kind of artist. Yet there is always a disconnected quality to Aquarians. They are noticeably peculiar, and in this they pride themselves. If the Aquarius card presents itself in a reading, you can be assured friends and friendly alliances are about to help you achieve your goals. It's possible you're possible to meet a group of people or become involved in organizations that will support you in unusual plans and ideas. It may be like a family group, but the emphasis will be placed primarily on the ideas of the crowd. If so, you can consider yourself the idealistic Pied Piper at the front of your group. You may find yourself dealing with persons from an exotic or dissimilar background, those of different ethnicity or culture than yours, from which you will learn greatly. Transgender people and cross-dressing may possibly mean something in your world right now. You will acquire different concepts and approaches through these dealings, which are changing you. In the coming months, traveling to faraway exotic places is likely to factor in. Mastering a new technology, like we said up here, and dealing with futuristic concepts will be of benefit to you. Whatever you accomplish in your near future will be based on how well you master these new ideas and approaches. Science fiction or fantasy may become subjects of an art form for you. Another meaning behind this card is the meeting up of cutting-edge people, those who challenge what you believe to be true or established though it may not be. Many times, these people will be artists. With this card choice, you're likely to be mastering something new, like we said up here, mastering a new craft, which will lead you to greater awareness and success. All right, so then we've got these last three little cards here. We've got enthusiasm, joy, and appreciation. This is such a positive little reading. It's just so happy. I like it. So happy. All right, so we've got enthusiasm. Enthusiasm attracts more enthusiasm. How many times have I said like attracts like? Enthusiasm attracts more enthusiasm. Be joyous and dance naturally in your life, and you will attract dance partners. You say you don't know how to be enthusiastic? Take some lessons in enthusiasm. Watch children, puppies, and kittens. They can be very enthusiastic. Have you ever watched kids just playing? Have you noticed how excited they get over silly stuff? Like you can buy them this great big kitchen set or whatever for Christmas, and guess what? They're going to play with the box it came in because they get so excited over simple things. And so if you can kind of go back into that childhood, that, you know, finding something exciting about the simplest of things, that's where that enthusiasm can come from. All right, and then we got joy. I got the joy. Anyway, it says, rejoice in the beauty, grace, and abundance that is within you and your world. Dance, play, celebrate, and have fun filling your life with happiness. Celebrate and share your joy with others. So when you find this enthusiasm, joy follows. And again, like attracts like. If you are enthusiastic and you develop your joy, then you're going to develop joy in other people as well, and they're going to become enthusiastic as well. It's contagious. And then we've got appreciation. What joy there is in recognizing with gratitude an intrinsic value in a situation, object, or person. Back to joy. This heightened awareness of something allows us a glimpse into another's divinity. Keep appreciating, and it will become more than a glimpse. So the more you appreciate something, acknowledge it, even have a sense of gratitude about it, the more it will draw more things like it. Like I said, everything, when you begin everything with gratitude, it draws more of that you're grateful for, more opportunities to be grateful. So yeah, I think you've got an excellent year ahead of you, Group 3. You guys are going to be rocking it. It's going to be awesome. Just keep communicating, keep that positive outlook on life, because it's really going to just get you through this year. It's going to be awesome. So thank you, Group 3. Happy New Year. All right, so group number 4. Group number 4, we have a charm that looks like a little daisy or some kind of flower, but it looks like one of the petals is missing. So I kind of feel like maybe you feel like a part of you is missing, or that you're not quite all together, or that a part of your life is missing. Maybe you're dealing with some grief of a loved one that's passed, or maybe you're dealing with some sense of loss of, it could be a loss of youth, it could be a loss of a loved one, it could be a loss of maybe an experience that's come to an end. But there's something missing in your life. So I'm really feeling this sense of, yeah, everything's great, for the most part, but, there's some things that you need to get together in your life. All right, so let's see what these cards say. You got Ace of Swords. You've got 5 of Wands. We've got the Star. We've got the Unseelie Court. Looks a little bit disturbing. We've got Queen Mab. Those who are familiar with fairy lore know who Queen Mab is. You've got Tamlin. We've got the Earth element, Stability. We've got Aries, I Am. We've got Pluto for Transformation. And then we've got Give and Receive, Patience, and Self-Esteem. So with these tarot cards here, with the Ace of Swords, you are basically putting more energy into your thoughts than your feelings. You are rising above your emotions and thinking things through logically. Whereas before you were more emotional and you were guided by your emotions, and now you are thinking things through logically and not being swayed so much by your emotions, which can be a good thing. And then we've got the 5 of Wands. With the 5 of Wands, you got to be careful what you say and how you say it. This sometimes can denote quarrels or disagreements. Sometimes there's an element of like play fighting. It's like you might say something, just joking, not realizing how seriously the other person might be taking it or how personal it might be. You might say something, like for example, you might call somebody fatso and not realize they are recovering from an eating disorder. That kind of thing. So be careful what you say and how you say it. You might be playing, they might not realize you're playing and really get their feelings hurt, or vice versa. You might be kind of touchy lately. kind of, kind of sensitive. And so, so it's something to be aware of. With this, with this Ace of Swords, I'm thinking it's almost like you're trying to justify what you said, even though it probably wasn't right. A lot of times, somebody might be like, well, that was mean and ugly and you shouldn't have said that and it hurt my feelings. And you're like, I was just joking. You should have taken it as a joke. Gosh, can't you take a joke? Well, depending on the content and the subject matter, some people can't take a joke. So it's important to be sensitive to that, especially if you want to preserve that relationship. So just be careful with that. And with the star, this is the star reversed. So you might be dealing with an Aquarius, someone who's a little bit quirky. What you're hoping for is on its way. But there's work to be done. And so you might be dealing with a bout of laziness on your own part. So just be aware of that. Take responsibility for your own actions. And that will get you to where you need to be in life. It just you might be taking the scenic route to get to where you want to be. But that, what you're hoping for is on its way. But like I said, you might be taking the scenic route to get there. Be careful who your friends are with this unseelie court. This could be, some shady folks. This could be some people that don't have your best interest at heart. They may not be who they seem to be on the outside. So be careful, in what you tell people, how much of yourself you reveal. You got to follow your intuition on these things, and again, be careful what you say, because people talk and people aren't always so nice. People might try to undermine you. So just be aware of that. Like my mom always says, be aware of your surroundings and so forth. So, so you definitely want to, keep that in mind. Queen Mab is, well, let me make sure we don't have any extra stuff we need to talk about with the unseelie court. Let's see. The appearance of the unseelie court indicates a way of life overturned, unexpected change, anger, frustration, broken promises, hurt, spite, malice, jealousy, and perhaps new but unsuitable alliances. So you might have found a new group of friends that seem cool, but they really don't have your best interest at heart. And you may feel like your way of life has been overturned. There may be some unexpected change, and I know that's difficult for a lot of people. When we have a sudden change of plans, it's like, oh my goodness. And then, then we get, the frustration and the anger and all of that stuff. Or you feel like maybe your promise has been broken because there was a change of plans. Well, you promised, we could do A, B, C, D, and now we can't because you had to work late or something like that. So it's just something to be aware of. It's important to take into account other people's feelings as well, and how other people might take things. It's important to be sensitive and also supportive, of other people. If you have to communicate, hey, I'm sorry we can't, make our lunch date today because I didn't get a break today at work or whatever, try to make it right. Whatever the case may be, if there is a broken promise, if there is, some issue, the important thing is to try to make it right. We're in this thing called life together, and so we need to try to work together and support each other, because in the end, love is what matters. Okay, so let's go on to Queen Mab. Queen Mab was referenced in Shakespeare's, I believe it was A Midsummer Night's Dream, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see what Queen Mab has to say to us. She deals with dreams. And since she's reversed, that is important to our reading as well. It says Queen Mab reversed indicates, in some sense, barrenness, infertility, sterility, cynicism, and creative blocks. In some circumstances, the reverse card may indicate an unwanted pregnancy. Queen Mab reversed may indicate a real person in the questioner's life, an unfulfilled, bitter woman who is determined to make others suffer for her unhappiness. So you might be dealing with somebody who does have jealousy issues, that is, is trying to make your life miserable because you have something they don't have. So that person in your life, if that is a person in your life, may not be a very happy person, and you need to be really careful what you say to them and how much of your life that you allow them to be in, because they're going to try to mess things up for you. Also, if you may be struggling with some infertility issues. I know several ladies who have struggled with that. And so it's important to be sensitive to that as well. If you are the one dealing with the infertility issues, know that sometimes that is part of the greater plan. And it can be very, very hard to accept. And I don't know how else to say that. But it is not a defect. Okay. I want you to know you're not alone. If you're dealing with infertility, you're not alone, and you have my support. And, there are other people out there that are there to support you. Because it's not easy. When there's something you're hoping for so much, and you may be feeling, a sense of self-rejection in a way, and it may not have to do with pregnancy at all. It may have to do with, you're just feeling uninspired. You may not have that creativity element that you normally have. And you might be feeling a little bit stuck. So there's that element too. But don't beat yourself up over it, because, some things are not in your control. And so it's important to be gentle with yourself. Okay. We've got Tam Lin, and that reminds me of Prince Charming. Tam Lin. Let's see what he has to tell us. It says the appearance of Tam Lin indicates restoration, release from a bad or frightening situation, recovery from illness, relief, pleasure after pain, or a weight lifted from the mind. So whatever problems you're dealing with, it's going to be resolved. It's coming around. This did mention an unwanted pregnancy, probably happening around May. So if that is the case, know that whatever the situation is, there's going to be a release from that situation, a relief from pain, a relief from that scare. So whatever the situation may be with this, know that moving forward, you will be able to move forward with confidence. You'll have a weight lifted, whatever the case may be. So this is a time of restoration. If there was an issue with your relationships, this is a fix-it card. Things are going to be resolved. Things are going to be coming, back to where they're supposed to be. Okay. So now we have the element of earth. A lot of stability there. So let's see what that is all about. It says, now is the time to draw upon your strength. Think of yourself as solid and sure as a rooted tree. You are firm. Nothing can knock you out of your spot. Earth is the element of the sign Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. These are the signs that keep us centered but more aptly fastened to the ground. Our spirits become stable, our souls deepen under the influence of earth. The earth element reminds us that we are engaged in the five senses. Our dreams become manifest in what is real, not what is imagined. Earth is the element of practicality and wisdom. Earth signs are about what is real, what can be proven, and what is solid in our lives. They have to do with certainty, what can be seen and felt, rather than what is imagined or dreamed. Earth tells us to take our time. There doesn't need to be a rush. We can achieve what we want while going through methodical steps. It all depends on how determined and measured we are, how strong and self-assured. So yeah, with this earth element, slow and steady wins the race, is what it's saying. And it's all about practicality. You may find yourself, if you've got a lot of anxiety, you may find that engaging the five senses helps. Focus on what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, all these different things. If you engage all of your senses, it keeps you present in the moment and helps you to kind of keep your thoughts from running away with you. So that's important to remember. It says the earth element card is about finding meaning in the physical world, living free among nature, being animal and also human. The warning here is not to become stubborn. Allow others to be who they are. It is not time for rushing or criticism. When the card comes up in a reading, it can indicate that matters are becoming rock solid and sure, or it can mean you may have to prove yourself in some tangible way at this time or very soon. The earth element card is about being practical and landing on your feet. You will want to look out for stubbornness at present, either in yourself or others. This can indicate being fixed in your views and not willing to try something new. It implies that you may not feel it is time to change your ways or your course. However, action is needed. It is time to stop plotting and to let go of your fears. This card is about building blocks, building a home, or building a foundation for your life. In this way, you are finding a master plan and what works. This card also solidifies the focus of your reading. It is a good omen because it means you're constructing a solid base that will last. It is also about duty and being measured in all that you do. It also denotes standing fast for your truth. The earth element card is also a sensual card, having to do with appetites where sexual need and expression are concerned, and this may have some relevance to your question. At worst, this card can represent hoarding and not being able to let go of things. Materialism may play into this. It may indicate working for tomorrow while not living in the present. Did I talk about living in the present just now? So you are encouraged to relax, take a break, and return to the garden. It is not time to rush things. Patience is needed to get where you want to be, and a mad rush could cause your tower to collapse. Remember, the foundation must be solid. Your happiness is dependent upon the structure, and that means matters will likely progress at a slow pace and maybe a few steps back before you eventually get there. The earth element says this matter is essential, so you want it to last. Interesting. We've got this patience card coming up later on too. So are you Are you struggling with patience? You might be. So keep that in mind. Slow and steady wins the race. Take on this wait and see attitude, but also be taking action to build that firm foundation, okay? So then you've got Aries. Aries says, I am. Aries, I guess I'm just a natural warrior. That was by Camille Paglia. The Aries card says it's okay to push now. Just don't push too hard. So we go from being slow and steady wins the race to like gung-ho, go hard or go home kind of attitude, okay? Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and the energy of this card is that of a dynamic trailblazer. Aries is the fire of creation. This means Arians can be highly creative. Since they are impatient, they are also blunt and to the point. They make no effort to pretend to be something other than what they are, which in their eyes is number one. Everyone needs to understand this. Arians tend to be genuine people who are not into playing games. They like matters to move fast. Since Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, it is represented by the primal human, one who must protect and defend. Aries people are highly ambitious and want to accomplish things quickly and in a no-nonsense way. Competition is what Aries is all about. Many feel the need to compete when the other party doesn't even care to. It's like that one little cartoon that was like when you've got an Aries or a type A personality, and it's like, stop and smell the roses. I'm gonna be a world champion rose smeller. Okay, so it's kind of like that thing. Aries are very competitive. I would know. I'm an Aries. I'm a double Aries with a Leo rising. So that's that. Anyway, traditionally, Aries is a warrior sign, which means being always on the defensive, ready for action. The Aries style of relating is that of a catalyst using force, not of a peacemaker. They're interested in sports, and a number of Arians have a fascination with weapons. I'm not your typical Aries because that doesn't necessarily apply to me all the time. But anyway, when this card turns up, expect things to move fast, for there is no time to take it step by step. It will all be a mad jump. It may be a time of testing your will. You will work best in situations where you make your own decisions rather than acting as an underling. You may even find a supporting cast to help you finish your work. Be responsible and disciplined in all of your actions. You will want to get things started and forge ahead. Do not buckle under the dramas and trivialities of others. This card marks a period where you are forceful and headstrong. You can now forge a direction or path as you have the vision and energy to do so at this time. In love affairs, you will want to take the lead. You may attract spontaneous and enthusiastic lovers. Be ready to reach new plateaus. There may be the opportunity for more than one lover. Uh-oh. Be advised to think beyond acting with aggression, especially in emotional dramas. In relationships, you or your partner will expect total freedom. However, avoid being quick-tempered because when this card turns up, there is a need for caution. Be steady and measured rather than hot-blooded or impulsive. This marks a time where you need to be sensitive to the concerns of others, since you will want to move fast and strong without thinking things through. I think, how many times have I said that in this reading? Be sensitive to others. So again, it's reiterating that. You may find yourself running into walls. You will not want to compromise right now, but you should do just that. Sometimes it's best to allow bygones be bygones and let it go. Any fighting or conflicts will not serve you at this time. In fact, it may poison the waters and make matters worse. Care must be taken to not be too foolish or rash. However, it's time to work for a cause and get things started. Just make sure you finish all that you start. Okay. Then we've got Pluto, the card of transformation. So yeah, you don't want to be too outgoing, too headstrong in this. You want to give a little, you know. And this says give and receive, so it's a give and take. We're gonna get to this in a minute. So let's see what Pluto says. And I still regard Pluto as a planet. I don't know about you guys, but I still regard Pluto as a planet. Let's see, where is Pluto in here? People living deeply have no fear of death. That was by Anais Nin. Pluto, the smallest and outermost planet in our solar system, probably carries the most weight. It is the planet of extremes. Birth, sex, and death are Pluto's themes. In Greek legend, Pluto was the god of the underworld. His earlier name, Hades, came to designate the dwelling place for the dead. The name Hades means the unseen, and it is a good description of the energies of Pluto, which tend to transform areas of the astrological chart without us knowing until the explosion or blowout. Pluto was discovered in 1930, and although it is now considered a dwarf planet, transits from Pluto are extremely powerful and bring on significant life changes. You know what they say, dynamite comes in small packages, right? In traditional astrology, Pluto is the higher octave of Mars, but has some similarities to Saturn, which is also a force of oppression. Pluto governs renewal and rebirth. It brings to the surface things that have been hidden or are felt deep inside. These are sometimes painful to confront, or they are embarrassing or taboo. So you're going to have some stuff coming up in 2020. It's going to be probably around August, I would say. late summer is when I'm feeling this is going to happen. But all this stuff that you've been suppressing all year and not wanting to deal with and not wanting to acknowledge, it's going to come to the surface. And it may not be pretty. I'm just going to tell you, you may have some serious stuff come up around August. But once you get through that, you're golden. But it's going to take some doing to get through this. It's going to be a tough month. I'm just going to tell you. Transformation is not always easy. This dwarf planet tends to inspire unwelcome surprises. Pluto can be like a tower collapsing in your life, a life from which you must rebuild from debris and also inspiration. Kind of like the phoenix up from the ashes, Many things you have relied upon for always being there may suddenly disappear or leave. More than anything else, Pluto represents endings and beginnings. It is not a card of physical death per se, since in our lifetimes we experience many deaths and new starts. This is simply a time when the decks are being wiped clean for new action. It's like shaking the old Etch-a-Sketch. Most of the time, you begin to feel ill at ease with the feeling of something not right, and things go down strangely with an eerie silence like the Titanic. Kind of like this little thing, something ain't right, something's missing. This little charm, it's saying something's missing, something's not right. And you can feel it, but you may not be able to put your finger on it. If you're in a relationship that has been difficult, it will either end or it will deepen and become more fulfilling. Any romance that starts at this time should prove to be intense. It is very important not to try and control things. Instead, surrender to the ups and downs for a while, although some of these changes may be painful ones. That said, this is a time of intense sexuality. It may come in various forms: great sex, not enough sex, strange sex, but most likely intense and consuming sex. So that can be really something intense to deal with if you're having any issues with that, any insecurities, any intimacy issues. That's gonna come up for you in August. So just be prepared for that. I don't know how to tell you to prepare for that because it works different ways for different people, but self-awareness is a big part of that. Okay. In terms of job or career, it may be time to get another. When the Pluto card presents itself in a reading, you may have recently been infatuated with a hidden subject, certain mysteries, or the taboo. This could be a time when you're able to sense and feel spirits around you. Sometimes this card can indicate psychic attacks, and thus you should be very careful who you open up to. Remember, I said be careful who your friends are. This is reiterating that. Be cautious if you are involved in anything paranormal or occult in nature. You are not particularly vulnerable. In fact, your strength is growing. But it's important at this time to spiritually protect yourself from anything negative, such as vampire types of people or lost spirits looking for a home. So it is important to shield, because you can pick up on other people's energy. Like if somebody walks in the room and they're in a bad mood, and all of a sudden everybody in the room's in a bad mood, yeah, you want to protect yourself against that. So one quick and easy way you can do that is imagine this white tornado from top to bottom encircling you. And so what happens with a tornado? Things that try to come into the tornado get tossed right back out. And just imagine that connecting you to the earth and going up to the heavens. Nothing can get in that is not okay with you. And so that's a good visualization to imagine this white tornado of light all around you. And that can kind of help protect you, spiritually and energetically. Let's see. You may become upset concerning something about your past that turns out not to be what you always thought. So you may come to a realization that things weren't what you always thought they were. The person you thought was your dad might turn out to be, somebody totally different that's not related to you at all. Some strange, or you may find out that you were adopted, or you may find out some family secret that might be kind of hard to swallow. And that, like I said, it may be something that's hard to deal with. On a more mundane level, you may have to be more careful with your finances, taxes, and inheritances especially. You might have the opportunity to suddenly move to a new home, but be aware of foundation, water, or sewage problems, and also the possibility that the house might be haunted. So if you're looking at buying a house, these are things you got to think about. You got to make sure that they're up to code and all this other stuff. And you may want to look in the history if you're looking at buying a new home. Look into the history behind it, and see, what kind of vibrations it might hold. Think of Pluto as leftover things that tend to languish in a state of decay or decadence, but more positively, rejuvenation, healing, and birth. So if there's some stuff from your past that you're not dealing with, it's going to come out. Like I said, some of these old emotions are going to come back up again. And so this is a time to really, process that and deal with that, because if you don't process it, and if you don't deal with it, if you're in denial, if you're, not processing through this loss that we mentioned earlier, whether it be a death of a person or relationship, something like that, if you don't process that grief and that loss, it's going to come back up, and not in a cute way. So you gotta really, really get to know yourself and process these feelings as they come up, because if you don't, if you try to stuff them down, they're going to come up bigger and meaner later. So that's important to remember. Also, we've got the gentle wisdom of the fairies. So we've got give and receive, patience, and self-esteem. And we talked about, sometimes you gotta give a little. It's a give and take, like with any relationship. Let's see what the fairies say about that. There is an abundant and constant flow of energy through us. We give and receive energy in many ways. If you feel depleted, you may need to replenish your energy before giving out more. Likewise, if you're feeling stuck, you may need to give more. Keep the flow going. There is an unlimited supply. So there's an unlimited supply of energy to go around. And you may feel like you're giving too much of yourself. You don't necessarily have to listen to everybody that wants to talk to you. You don't necessarily have to engage with everybody that wants to talk to you, because that can be exhausting, especially if they got a lot of drama going on. I mean, and you walk away from them feeling like you've just been on an emotional roller coaster. You don't have to take all that. If somebody is in your life and they're depleting your energy, you don't necessarily have to keep giving them that energy. And also, if you feel like like say if you've been working a whole bunch of hours and you've been given all this energy and you're just feeling just exhausted, get outside, get out in nature, pet the dog. These are things that help replenish your energy. Hang out with high vibing folks, hang out with people that boost your energy and that build you up. Find out who your supports are and stick with them, because that's going to raise your vibration. So you say, yeah, you definitely, it's a give and take. If you feel like you're doing all the giving and not enough taking, it may be time to, step back and let the other person, give their energy, and vice versa. But keep the flow going, because, there's an unlimited supply of energy, okay? Let's look at patience. It reminds me of a Guns N' Roses song. It says, get comfortable and have patience. New growth and blossoms take time to develop into ripe fruit. Relax and fully enjoy the times of growth and ripening, then enjoy the fruits. So remember we talked about in the summertime, you're gonna feel the need to, you're gonna feel like ain't nothing happening, but it's kind of like, okay, have you ever made whipped cream like from scratch? So when you're making whipped cream, you got your like hand mixer or whatever, or if you want to mix it by hand, but that's that's intense. But anyway, at first it may seem like ain't nothing happening, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, all this cream and all this air, and wow, it was liquid, and now it's like some other form of something. So if you have patience and let things unfold just as they should, it will start to gather momentum, okay? So patience. If you struggle with patience, it also helps to get back into the moment, get back, be present, focus on what you can sense with your five senses, and that will kind of help ground you in the moment. Because I think of it as when you don't have any more patience, or if you feel like you're losing patience, you're experiencing anxiety on some level. You might feel like something's not in your control. You might feel like, ABCD is going to happen if XYZ doesn't happen, and so forth. Sometimes you just got to roll with it. Sometimes you just got to let go and let things unfold, and then deal with the aftermath. And sometimes that's easier than trying to control everything in that moment. All right, so let's look at self-esteem. I know lots of people that struggle with that. And especially, in today's society, that can be a really big challenge for some people. It says, respect and confidence in who you are comes from appreciating your unique gifts and talents. This creates a natural flow to one's life. When you develop your self-esteem, people respect you more and the universe appears more generous. So if you are struggling with self-esteem issues, if you are feeling just like this miserable sod, focus on what your unique gifts are. And you may have to dig deep, deep, deep to figure out what that is. But you may have a kind heart. You may have a nice smile. Think about the positive things that you bring into the world, because that will help boost your self-esteem. You may feel like, well, I'm no good. I can't do anything right, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? If you've ever smiled at a kid and they smile back at you, or, or if you helped a homeless person one day, or if you, fed a stray dog, or whatever it is. But if you are a kind, generous person, that comes back to you, and the universe kind of opens up a little bit. But if you cave in on yourself, it's hard to get to that point where things seem more open. But that's, one way you can boost self-esteem is to focus on, the positive that you do have and what you can bring to the table. So that is our reading for group number 4. And so anyway, Happy New Year. As we go forward in 2020, I wish you all the best. Keep in mind that all of this, you're in control of a lot of this, and you can change whatever you don't like. If it doesn't resonate with you, leave it behind. Take what does resonate and keep it moving. And I hope you'll proceed with an open heart, an open mind, and a nice cup of tea.